special edition of the Brett Allen Show, a pop culture podcast where we interview actors from your favorite television shows, film, music, comedy, and more. Say that 10 times fast. And we are chatting with the amazingly talented Jorge Jiménez about this unbelievably amazing film, Borrego. If you have not seen this, my God, you are missing out. And I will tell you, we have most, if not all, of the cast coming on. So stay tuned for a barrage of interviews. Jorge, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here today.
Brad, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you as well. And of course, shout out to your publicist for making this happen. Let's talk about Borrego because this has a cavalcade cast, and there are so many amazingly talented people. And in a day and age where content is so easy to access, oftentimes we find ourselves in a peer view of choice where we just don't know what to watch. But this is one to put your eyes on. Let's talk about the project, Jorge, how this came about for you and your character, and sort of how they fit into the overall storyline of Borrego, please.
Okay, well, first of all, I was contacted by Jesse, the director, and he told me about the project, sent me the script, read it, and I was surprised by how different the story is from other cartel movies, because this is
Yeah.
not a cartel movie, but it has the topic, but it's so different, and I liked Guillermo, the character that I played. Even though it was the bad guy, it was more than that.
Yes.
It, it's a different. It's not a typical bad guy that everyone's afraid of, and he kills everyone, and that's it. I mean, there's a lot going on his head and behind, and something that he has to do. Is obligated to do all these things, uh, because he thinks that he's gonna be free again to keep going with his life. So that was what was interesting to me, to play something like this, a character with this depth, and I mean, never done something similar, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about because oftentimes you have the tropes, I guess you could say, of a cartel type movie. Sicario comes to mind. Those are great films, but
Yes,
this is definitely not. I mean, it's kind of genre bending in a way because your character, who is the bad guy, but you really find yourself rooting for him in a lot of situations because really it it becomes the bigger question of, what are you willing to do for freedom? What are you willing to do for survival, for family, sometimes even? And it kind of goes beyond the scope of your typical story. Um, I want to ask you because you mentioned this is something that you've never done similarly before. Do you find yourself oftentimes in stories like this that it's not necessarily a good versus evil type story, but really you're just kind of getting an exploratory version of your character and a full picture of what, lengths maybe somebody's willing to go to for survival, really was what it comes down to. And freedom, I guess, on
yes,
certain levels.
yes. I mean, I've done other projects. Once again, like, the bad guy involved in cartels, and drugs and all that. But sometimes you don't have that background, that that thing that makes you do the things. It's just like, what do you do it because I'm bad, and because I'm mean, and because I want power, and I want money. And most of the stories go the same path. M-
Yeah.
Most of them. It's not very usual to see a story going to the other direction that explains, and is not a way to say, oh, now, okay, it's good that you're doing bad things. It's not that, but I'm glad that we can see that other path. Like in this case, he got involved in these situations, in drugs and cartel, but now he's obligated to do the things in order to get free, in order to go back to his family, to his daughter, And one of the things, we didn't have the time to show in more scenes what's going on with his life. Like if you think about it, the whole, like all the other characters, they explain something about what they're going through. Uh, the story with Lucy's character, we find out about her sister, and then Olivia's character, we find out about her mom, and Leonard's character, we know what's going on with his dad and his grandpa. And in this case, we don't have that, but there's like hints that lets you know that something is going on in his life, that he wants to get out of this, but he can't.
Right.
So that's the difference between, I guess, between, the bad guy and this character.
100%. One last question for you, Jorge. Again, as a storyteller, you have the opportunity to participate in amazing projects like this and other projects as well. And I'm very curious, as a storyteller, what is the best advice or the hope that you would have for people to take away from this fantastic project, outside of just, a content consumer and being entertained? Is there an overall message or an overall hope that you hope the viewers take away from your character or just the story in general with, again, such an amazing cast?
Yes, thank you. Well, I think first of all, I wanna thank Jesse and producers, because there's a lot of Latino power in the movie,
Yes,
and
a
and
lot.
you don't see that often. So I appreciate that. I mean, that there's more opportunities, more work, and of course with a story that is different, and is not the typical. So
Right.
I appreciate that as well, and I think this is what film and movies and stories should be about, like real life, real things, so we can appreciate and know what people go through on, or what people suffer, or what people um, uh, are thankful for. I
Yes.
mean, I mean, I think that's what people's gonna take from this movie. I mean, just open opportunities and open eyes, and see that there's things that can be done different.
I love it. Well, this movie is fantastic, and I recommend everybody see this. There is a fantastic cast, including Jorge. And
Thank you.
I mean, my God, it just goes on and on. It's a beautiful story, very well filmed. Everything's great from the story to the music to the writing. And this is a can't miss hit. Please check it out. Jorge, thanks for joining me today on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.